Brian Soes. Today on the show I'm reviewing Islander Sewing Systems Baja number 214. It's the Baja shirt. This is actually the pattern that I modeled for the cover. You can see me. I'll show you a picture of that. The story behind that modeling is I was at the Sewing Expo in Novi, Michigan, and the expo is basically run by a very nice lady named Janet, who is related, I don't remember how, to Margaret Islander, and they were there, and they had a photographer, and they had the whole setup for the show, and they were photographing, basically wanted to photograph the cover for the pattern, and they asked me if I would model for it. So that's the story behind why I'm on the cover of this pattern. I didn't get paid for it. I did get the pattern for free, and I got a few other patterns from the Islander Sewing System, so I'm kind of excited about those, and I'll review those as I sew them. The Baja shirt is a new pattern. Islander Sewing Systems offers some interesting patterns. You know, a lot of them are men's patterns or like shirt style patterns. They're not, you know, these are not like high fashion type patterns, but they're very good for a new sewer who wants to learn how to sew shirts, because the instructions they offer, the instruction is a booklet with really clear instructions on your sewing, and it's not they're not really even just telling you how to sew this particular garment. They're teaching you techniques, like good sewing techniques, which is what Margaret Islander was all about. If you've watched, and I highly recommend the Islander DVD series. She has a shirts making DVD and an industry shortcuts DVD that was just absolutely fabulous. And you know, her Margaret Islander's whole principle was bringing industry techniques to the home sewer. You know, I find it interesting that I still, you know, sometimes I still see pictures of people's, you know, people blog and they show the pictures of their process, and I find it so fascinating when people are still pinning their paper pattern to the fabric. I'm like, wow, I can't imagine you even do that. Or even people, I mean, and I'm not trying to like make you seem like you're old-fashioned, but people who are cutting out their patterns with scissors still. I mean, you know, times have changed. We're using more industry techniques in the home market, and that's why we're able to make clothes that are much more accurate than they used to be. But anyway, the Baja shirt, which is, I'm wearing it right now, and originally what I did was I made my size in this shirt, and looking at the back of the pattern, my size would have been, you know, a large if you're going it by chest size, which is what men's patterns usually do, is by chest. They either do neck or chest size. And I'm like a 41, 42 chest, and that would be a large. Well, I just wanted to kind of follow the pattern and do what the recommended sizing was. And I had sewn, basically what I did, I had sewn the bodice and sew the sleeves on. I had not closed up the side seam yet. And I was looking at this thing and I was like, wow, that's a lot of fabric going on here. So I put it over my head. It's kind of this big tenty, drapey thing. And I was realizing, I was like, oh my god, the sleeve's down to here and the sides are out to here. This is ridiculous. I've got to cut this back before I sew it. Otherwise it's just going to be this big floaty tent on me. So what I did was I cut 2 inches off each side, which means 4 inches off, you know, 2 inches off the side of each of these, so that would be 4 inches total. When I made my modifications to the paper pattern, I actually ended up making a small size instead of the large. I also lengthened the sleeves. You can see the sleeves are quite long on me. I'm tall, and it's kind of luxurious to have long sleeves where they kind of come down over. And with this style, it's kind of, it's supposed to be a comfy sort of loungy shirt. Having the sleeves come over the top of your hands, this is really kind of cool. I mean, you can always pull it up and it doesn't, you know, nothing gets in your way. But I really like having that, being able to come down over the top of my hand like this. I also, you know, I like the skinnier sleeve like this. I don't want this big baggy, I don't need a whole bunch of fabric here. This is just fine. And you can also, you can kind of push the sleeves up a little bit if you want to, and you know, especially if you're using a thinner fabric, it doesn't really get in your way. If you're using fleece, I don't know, you want to have a big fleece bagginess. So the pocket, I like the size of the pocket. The pocket size I'm going to keep. So when I modified the pattern, what I did was I kept the hood the same size, more or less, and the pocket the same size, because these are the appropriate size for someone of my stature. But I don't really want it to come out to here, and I don't want the sleeves to be this huge baggy thing. So, and right now you can tell that I modified it after it was sewn up partially, because the shoulder is very much dropped down off my shoulder. I have a fairly broad shoulder to begin with, but this is, it's supposed to be a loose-fitting garment. But when I sew this up next time, the shoulder seam will probably be much higher up than this. Maybe even 2 inches higher up. So the pattern is actually really nice. I really like the pattern. It's a great little. I've never had a Baja shirt type style before, where you have this hood, and the hood is, I'll put the hood on for you. The hood is a great little feature. It's something that I think that you probably don't wear the hood on your head very often. You might wear it back, and it's more of just a, I don't want to call it decorative, but it's a design feature. You have this kind of nice top stitching here. The pocket is top stitched. You have these little side vents here at the side seams. So a problem that I did have with the hood is that because the hood lays back most of the time, what you end up seeing, and I serged this is pretty much the only part that I serged on the garment, you have the seam here which shows, and it's not pretty. And I noticed this when we were doing the modeling of the garments. I noticed that I was like, this is the part that I really don't like, because especially if you're using a knit, they're not telling you to really do any finishing to this. So this would be it wouldn't be very pretty. I would suggest, if you were making this pattern, to actually reverse the seam and put it on the outside, because if you see how I'm wearing this with the hood back, the outside of the seam is completely hidden by the hood. So this would look very clean here, and the only time you would see the seam then is if you were wearing the hood, which you're probably doing you're not doing this very often, wearing the hood up. You're wearing the hood back. So that's the only change I would make to the actual pattern, besides watching out for the sizing. And I noticed that, after I made this huge version of this, I looked back at the, on the back of the booklet here, and it says the finished garment measurements for a large, the chest is a 51. Well, if I would have noticed that before, I would have been like, whoa, I don't need to make a 51. I mean, that's ridiculously big for someone my size. I would have looked and said, oh, finished chest size for small is 43. Oh, that's about right. That's what I ended up making, was a 43 after I cut down the side seams. So I would almost pay more attention to the finished garment measurements than the body measurements, the recommended. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a loose-fitting garment, but I mean, that's really, really, really loose. The sizing goes from it's a unisex pattern, so the sizing goes from extra small up to 4XL. But what I thought was interesting was the length of this. For extra small is 30, and for 4XL is 32. So for the smaller sizes, you're talking about a fairly large, fairly long garment. And for large sizes, like the 4XL, you're talking about something that could be fairly short, depending on your sizing. So I thought that was interesting. So this has been Brian Sews. This is my review of Islander Sewing Systems Baja shirt number 214. Thanks for watching.